So it looks like McFarlane is really full speed ahead when it comes to some of the stuff that they revealed, not just at San Diego Comic Con, with some of the more tumultuous stuff, such as the Joker 2 set. Joker 2 pack, I should say, not Joker 2 set, because it makes it seem like it's for the sequel, but rather the 2019 from the scene at the end with the Murray Franklin show, and how, to say the least, divisive that set was. In fact, it wasn't even divisive. It was very controversial, however, as far as how they priced that set. But bundled with that set was also the unveiling that McFarlane is making big power plays as far as their 17 plus labeling, being able to bring back certain figures that you thought were kind of gone for a little bit because of their mature nature, but it looks like this time he's deciding to simply just give folks who missed out on the first iteration a second chance without ever really touching or trying to fix something that was effectively never broken. And we have our first resemblance of that with a tease last week and a full pre-order launch this morning, with the pre-order launch of a black screen. There we go. God damn it. The Thomas Wayne and Professor Zoom, or Batman versus Professor Zoom 2-pack from Flashpoint, or I think it's just called Flashpoint. And so we have this set that finally went live for pre-order this morning, and it's actually currently still up for pre-order. And my assumption for that is because it's technically, for lack of a better term, a reissue. This is a complete reissue because I believe that this Zoom figure has been released before. I could be wrong, but I have a very strong feeling that we've seen this Zoom figure before, and maybe he's gotten a little bit of a touch-up. But what I can confidently say we did get before is that Flashpoint Thomas Wayne Batman. I know this because this was not only one of my early reviews on this channel, but it was also, frankly, I'll tell you right now, one of my favorite McFarlane figures ever, because I love the construction of the figure. I like the way that it's molded, sculpted, articulated. It feels great in hand, but also it comes with the guns. It feels very uncompromised, solid, and I dig it. And to see that McFarlane's going back and giving people a second chance to be able to purchase it is awesome. And without compromises, because surprisingly, with some legal hurdles such as putting it in the tweet, exactly in the tweet with a little asterisk that just looks so out of place here, it with an asterisk sign, not a toy. They have to put that because this set will in fact include his pistols under his holsters there. Oh my god, the face. But it's a 2-pack that will include not just Thomas Wayne and Professor Zoom, but also their respective accessories, such as Batman with, like I said, the pistols here, which he's not really brandishing. He just has them in the holsters. But what he is holding is the giant sword here. And here he technically has a cowled head with like a grimace showing the teeth, which I believe is probably the only alteration they made. I think the original had a much more, he had like a angry, aggressive face, but he wasn't showing any teeth. But to sweeten the deal, he will come with the Thomas head, the unmasked Thomas head to be able to swap it with, as well as I believe an extra little piece for the collar to make it look like the cowl was pulled down. So that's pretty nice. Along with an alternate head of Professor Zoom with the gray hair, and then again the cowl, the little collar piece to make it look like the mask was pulled down. Cool little effect. Here's a full product shot of the box and everything that's included, so you can see that we got both figures, the 2 heads, pistols and the sword for Thomas Wayne, and then this bolts kind of fight stick. Let me see what the other, here we go. Accessories include 2 alternate head portraits, lightning rod, so I guess it's a lightning rod, sword, 2 sidearms, I have to call it that, I can't call it guns, and environmental display base, which leads me to this whole situation, or to the whole timetable as far as how this is going to move. It's so far scheduled through the McFarlane Toy Store site, as well as Amazon, as well as Target. Well, is it up on Target? I don't think it's up on Target, actually. But Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, it's more or less scheduled to come out in like January of 2025. That's what the labeling says. And I believe even Big Bad Toy Story adds an extra month to like February. But I gotta be honest, this is, let's call it Ace of Spades. This is a reissue. This is not a brand new set. This is simply just a second opportunity in case you missed the first one, which technically I did. Even though I own that figure, I don't know how many of you know this. I did mention it in that review, though. I made it completely transparent that my acquiring of that original Thomas Wayne figure was secondhand. I actually bought that off of Mercari for an added like $10. It was, instead of $20, I think I paid like $35 because I just liked how that figure looked like, and I definitely don't regret it. I dug it. And at the time, this was literally back in what, 2021 when I started the channel, late 2021, early 2022. So here we are about 2.5, almost 3 years practically later. And, you know, at the time, we weren't going to know that McFarlane was ever going to revisit this, especially after the WB gun ban. So to see that he's doing it is pretty pleasant. But again, let's not mince words. It's a reissue. We've had these figures before. We've had these accessories before. I think the only brand new accessories would have to be the alternate head sculpts. And even then, they're not new, but the way that they come bundled is new, if that makes any kind of sense. The way that they're, you know, put with each other, because I believe there was a platinum or there was a chase that had this head, but it didn't have the cowled head, so you got either one or the other. And I think it was a similar thing with Zoom. I can't remember that exactly. I want to say the rod is new and the sword is kind of new. Maybe. Again, I can't confirm. What I can confirm, though, is that we've seen this diorama too many times before. God damn it. Because if you guys can't tell, this is that same diorama, complete with the tombstone from the Hush 2-pack. The one that came with the Batman Hush that has the open face, and the Hush that I think also came with like a screaming face. The one that was on clearance for like the longest time at like your nearest Target. It would always be on clearance. It would always be stacked up on the shelves. It was a shelf warmer, for lack of a better term. And here you see it again. It probably has like some new wording on the tombstone, but we've seen it time and time again. So the fact that 85% of what's in the box we've already seen before, I think it'll be released way earlier than January. I want to say probably by next month. Probably even before Christmas. Because ideally, it would make sense for this thing to hit before Christmas so that people have stuff to wrap and to give to their big McFarlane Toys Batman fan. The base model, which is the standard one that's not autographed, just the standard model, surprisingly only $40. Again, you can contribute this price point to the fact that it's a reissue and it doesn't really cost McFarlane too much to make, but still, if you never got those originals, $40, meaning that $20 each figure, that's even less than what they're going for standard release right now in the store. So if you walk into a Target or Walmart and get just a standard McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse 7-inch figure, it's about $22.99, $3 extra. So here you're getting $20 per figure, and you're getting, granted, like I said, a repeated use of the diorama, the tombstone. Okay, we get it. We've seen it before. But you get all this. You get the sword, you get the lightning rod, but then you get the alternate heads and the guns. I'm like, there's, again, being a proponent of value, for $40, this is really not that bad, especially if, again, you missed out on the first release. So knowing that the base model was a lot cheaper than I was, because I gotta be honest, I was expecting 50. I was expecting 50, maybe even 55. 60 would have been a little crazy, but I was safer with like 50. I was totally expecting 50. So saying 40, I was like, that's a lot cheaper. That effectively also made me think, are we in an age of like remasters, re-releases? Because I feel like within these past few months or more or less weeks, we've been getting a lot of these, like not just with standard DC Multiverse, but we even recently had this new wave of Batman animated series figures, and one of them is just the standard New Adventures of Batman, but now he's like a bright blue. Instead of a black and gray, he's like a blue and gray. So he's reutilizing that, reutilizing an awful lot of the DC Direct stuff for that matter. But there's just a handful of other stuff that, you know, has been kind of revealed by him. In fact, let me see what's in like the recent side of pre-orders. You know what? Let's tackle one little elephant in the room here. that people are stoked for, and even though I'm still interested to see how it does, take for example this Batman Noel, which is part of the new wave that's coming up soon, but this is the autograph edition by Lee Bermejo, which does look pretty dope. But we've gotten this buck before. I recognize the sculpting of the pants, and I dig it. It was in a page puncher. But I dug the suit. I really like the suit. How robust it is, how tactile and very army-like it looks like, with the pouches and the pads right here in the center. But it just has a different color coding. Outside of that, we've gotten it before. Except now he's going to come with a cloth cape. So we got that. We're kind of getting some more animated series stuff right here. A new Shazam. This is reuse of the upcoming Christopher Reeve, except with the cel shading and a different head. So he's kind of putting two out. I've already mentioned in that review, the review for the Night People, that it is in fact the Nightfall buck again. And an upcoming review for the Justice League Task Force Batman. That's Nightfall buck again, complete with the Nightfall 2-pack head sculpt. So, are we really in a dawn of reissues? And is it McFarlane's doing? Or is it the fact that Warner Brothers doesn't really have too much coming out right now? I almost want to say it's kind of half and half. And it's kind of half and half. But at the same time, there's a part of me that kind of wishes that McFarlane would use this time where maybe he's not tied to a specific license, at least not yet, until next year. And in that time, in this time of peace, so to speak, he can maybe experiment with some kind of buck that's like different than what we've seen before, instead of potentially getting stuck in an age of remasters or re-releases or retools or repackages or, for lack of a better term, repaints. Because I'm kind of scared that he's doing that just a little bit too much.